Hey guys, you're trying to get your son to put clothing in a basket to wash. Okay, if even if she doesn't want to, I mean that's completely up to her. I just like having her around. She knows everything about this. I'll wait for her. Sorry I haven't been on Discord lately, guys. I've been really busy making videos every day, and then I've also been out a lot with this nice weather. Um, I just can't sit in this house. I can't. I was in here all winter long and it was depressing. And now that it's beautiful, I'm gone. Like right now, it's 28 degrees. I have my air conditioning on in the background. So if that's annoying, let me know. I'll try and turn it down. Just waiting for Artsy. I got a message. I guess, well, last week's podcast that Todd Chrisley did, the Chrisley Confessions, it was quite personal and it was quite upsetting for him. So I'm not even going to bother. Somebody warned me about that, so I'm not going to listen to it. It was, yeah, it's kind of disturbing. Apparently, I feel bad for the guy from what I heard. This week, though, so he did win last night, and he had mentioned Emily D. Baker and how he was really proud of her and everything for making. She's at what 334,000 subs now. Like she's beyond KJ now. I love it. I think it's great. I'm so proud of her too. That's amazing. So I might take a look at that podcast and see what he has to say. Of course, if there's anything KJ, I'll definitely do a video on it. You're doing laundry too. Your son just dumped fabric softener all over himself in the floor. The goal is to make less mess, eh? Aw, that's funny. I don't know if any of you guys watched my video today on KJ, but there was two commercials in it, and I'm telling you, that was the best part of my video. I wasn't even bothered with Katie at all. I was more looking at these commercials are amazing. They were hilarious. One was about t-shirts, and the other one was about soap. And at the beginning of the soap commercial, the wife is telling the husband that his balls stink. I'm talking like balls, like junk, like it's. Oh my god, it was a good time. I had to mop today, so I just did it now as it's getting later, but it's still hot as heck in here. But I'm in the kitchen with my air conditioner, so it's nice in here. Finally. I'm just gonna put the link for Miss Nurse. So she can grab it when she comes in. Oh my god, SD. I was watching. Yeah, those commercials were hilarious. They were awesome. You miss winter? Seriously? I'm glad it's over with myself. But I'm in Canada and our winters are long and cold. Yeah, the soap commercial was hilarious. And then I never seen the t-shirt one, so I was like, okay, what's this? And the first thing the guy says, they're at a pub, they're sitting outside, there's three men. The first thing the guy says is, I'm fat. And they're like, but you're a good dad. As his I'm having tech difficulties. Oh, she is. Oh, the heat is terrible. Yeah, I get it. That shirt one though, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're fat, but you're a great dad." And as they say that, the baby carriage goes over to the road behind him. It's hilarious. Okay, no worries. I'll just start then with the book, and then, as usual, afterwards, if anyone has any questions, hopefully she'll be able to answer them and come on. Oh, there she is. There she is. There she is. Well, hello. What's going on? Having some difficulties, are you? Oh, she's muted.
Oh,
Hey, Brittany.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How's it going, Missy?
It's going.
It's going. Having
It's
some
going.
difficulties.
A little, yeah. Like I had to exit out of every little email update before my computer would even let me log in. I'm like, what is it going on?
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
right?
Got
Yeah,
it.
it happens to me. Like I was told before, and I always forget. So I did forget today to always restart my computer when I before I go live. And I, I didn't one time, and oh my god, what a mess! That was when I couldn't play any videos or anything. I didn't restart today though. Oops, I forgot. I was just telling them about the video I did today and how it was a YouTube video of KJ's, and I was watching two commercials that were I actually watched two full blown commercials. They were hilarious. The first one was about that Sasquatch soap. Have you ever seen that one?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my god, isn't that? I laughed so hard because the first thing the wife says is that the husband's balls stink. I was like, what the hell is this? So I watched the whole thing. And then the next one that was there was one of those shirts, the fit shirts they're called. That one was hilarious as well. The opening for that one was the guy drinking a beer saying, I'm fat.
That would fit for her channel.
It was. I thought it was great.
She just
They
needs a
were
diaper
funny. So I
commercial
watched
now.
I watched all of them in its entirety. I had to. They were great. They were funny. If they make more commercials like that, I'm gonna be hooked. That's all I'm gonna watch.
That would be even better if they had diaper commercials.
Right. All right, I'll get started on this book. Is my air conditioner annoying though? Is it too loud?
I can barely hear it. I didn't even notice it until you mentioned it.
Okay, good, because it is hot outside. I have the sun coming in like every single window, and I'm just thinking if I turn it off, I think I might die.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay, I'm gonna start. So August 12th to 15th, 1969. From William Tennant, Roman Polanski's business manager, LAPD learned that in mid-March, Polanski's had given a catered party at Cielo with over 100 guests. As at any large Hollywood gathering, there were crashers, and among them was Herb Wilson, Larry Madigan, Jeffrey Pickett, nicknamed Pick. And there's a star, so I'm just going to read what they said on that. Everything in this book is based on fact. In a few instances, the names of persons only tangentially involved have been changed for legal reasons. The cross symbol indicating the substitution of a Poseidon for the true name. The persons were and are real, however, and the incidents depicted are entirely factual. Good to know. The trio, all in their late 20s, were reputedly dope dealers. Nice. During the party, Wilson apparently stepped on Tennant's foot. An argument ensued, Madigan and Pickett taking Wilson's side. Irritated, Roman had the three men evicted. It was a minor incident in and of itself, hardly cause for five savage murders, but Tennant had heard something else. Pick had once threatened to kill Frykowski. This information had come to him through a friend of Wojtek's. I cannot pronounce this name. It's very long, but it's. I'm just going to say Witold K, an artist professionally known as Witold K. Not unmindful of the similarity between Pick and the bloody lettered pig on the front door of the Tate residence, detectives interviewed Witold K. From him, they learned that the Polanskis had left for Europe. Wilson, Pickett, Madigan, and a fourth man, Gerald Jones were frequent visitors to Cielo residence. Wilson and Madigan, according to Witold, supplied Wojtek and Gibby with most of their drugs, including the MDA they had taken before they died. As for Jeffrey Pickett, when Gibby and Wojtek took over Cielo, he moved into their Woodstock residence. Witold was staying there also. Once during an argument, Pickett tried to strangle the artist. Wow. When Wojtek learned of this, he told Pickett to get out. Enraged, Pick swore, "I'll kill them all, and Wojtek will be the first." Okay. Numerous others also felt one or more of the men might be involved and passed on their suspicions to the police. John and Michelle Phillips, formerly of the Mamas and the Papas group and friends of 4 or 5 of the Tate victims, said Wilson once drew a gun on Wojtek. Various strip habitats claimed Wilson often bragged that he was a hired killer, that Jones was an expert with knives, also always carrying one for throwing, and that Madigan was Sebring's Candyman or cocaine source. More than ever, convinced that the Tate homicides were the result of a drug burn or freakout, LAPD began looking for Wilson, Madigan, Pickett, and Jones. For 10 years, Sharon Tate had sought stardom. Now she attained it in just 3 days. On Tuesday, August 12th, her name moved from the headlines onto theater marquees. Valley of the Dolls was re-released nationally, opening in more than a dozen theaters in Los Angeles area alone. It was quickly followed by The Fearless Vampire Killers and other films in which the actress had appeared, the only difference being that now she was given star billing. The same day, the police told reporters that they had officially ruled out any connection between the Tate and LaBianca homicides. According to the Los Angeles Times, several officers indicated they were inclined to believe the Second Flames were the work of copycat. From the start, the two investigations have proceeded separately, with different detectives assigned to each. They would continue this way, each team pursuing in their own leads. They had one thing in common, though that similarity widened the distance between them. Both were operating on a basic assumption. In nearly 90% of all homicides, the victim knows his killer. In both investigations, the chief focus was now on acquaintances of the victims. I didn't know any of that. With Wilson, Madigan, and Pickett and Jones, I had no idea that all that stuff was said and all that stuff happened. So yeah, I would assume myself that would be my go-to for the murderers as well. In checking out the mafia rumor, the LaBianca detectives interviewed each of Leno's known business associates. All doubted the murders were mafia originated. One man told the detectives that if the mafia had been responsible, he probably would have heard about it. It was a thorough investigation, the detectives even checking to see if San Diego company where Leno had purchased a speedboat during their 1968 vacation was mafia financed. It wasn't, though numerous other businesses in the Mission Bay area were allegedly backed by Jewish mafia money. They even questioned Leno's mother, who told them he was a good boy, he never did belong to the association. The elimination of a possible mafia link, however, did not leave the LaBianca detectives without a suspect. In questioning neighbors of the pair, they learned that the house to the east, 3267 Waverly Drive, was vacant and had been for several months. Prior to that, it had been a hippie hangout. The hippies didn't interest them, but another former tenant, Fred Gardner, did very much. That's not a real name. That's just another one they used. They won't disclose the real one. From his rap sheet and from interviews, they learned that Gardner, a young attorney, has had mental problems in the past and claims he blacks out for periods of time and is not responsible for his actions. During an argument with his father, he grabbed a knife from the kitchen table and chased his father, stating that he would kill him. In September 1968, after being married only 2 weeks, for no apparent reason, he administered a vicious beating to his wife, then grabbed a knife from the kitchen drawer and attempted to kill her. She warded off the blows and managed to escape and called the police. Booked for attempted murder, he was examined by a court-appointed psychiatrist who found he had uncontrolled aggressions of a maniacal proportions. Despite this, the charge had been reduced to simple assault. Wow. He was released on probation and returned to the practice of law. Are you serious? That is insane. Since then, Gardner had been arrested a number of times on drunk or drug charges. Following his last arrest for forging a prescription, he was released on $900 bail and promptly skipped. A warrant for his arrest had been issued on August 1st, 9 days before the LaBianca murders. He was believed to be in New York. When the officers questioned Gardner's ex-wife, she told them she could recall 7 separate occasions when Gardner visited the LaBiancas, each time returning with either money or whiskey. When she'd asked him about this, he'd allegedly replied, "It's okay, I know them, and they had better give it to me or else." Had Gardner, with his penchant for kitchen knives, again tried to put the bite on the LaBiancas, this time the couple saying no? The officers contacted an FBI agent in New York to see if he could determine Gardner's present whereabouts. Beloved wife of Roman, Sharon Tate Polanski, 1943-1969. Paul Richard Polanski, their baby. Phillips is still alive today. Wednesday was a day of funerals. More than 150 persons attended Sharon Tate's last rites at Holy Cross Cemetery. Among these present were Kirk Douglas, Warren Beatty, Steve McQueen, James Coburn, Lee Marvin, Yul Brynner, Peter Sellers, John and Michelle Phillips. Roman Polanski, wearing dark glasses and accompanied by his doctor, broke down several times during the ceremony, as did Sharon's parents and her two young sisters, Patricia and Deborah. Many of the same people, including Polanski, later attended the services for Jay Sebring at Wee Kirk O. the Heather. Boris Lawn. Additional celebrities included Paul Newman, Henry and Peter Fonda, Alex Cord, and George Hamilton, all former Sebring clients. There were fewer people and fewer flashbulbs, as across the city, 6 of his high school classmates carried Stephen Parent's body from the small El Monte church where his services had taken place. Abigail Folger was buried near where she had grown up in Northern California, on the San Francisco Peninsula, following a requiem mass in Our Lady of the Wayside Church, which had been built by her grandparents. Wojtek's body remained in Los Angeles until relatives in Poland could arrange for it to be returned there for burial. While the Tate victims were being interred, the police were attempting to recreate their lives, in particular their last day. Friday, August 8th. About 8 a.m., Mrs. Chapman arrived at Cielo. She did what dishes there were, then commenced her regular household chores. At about 8:30, Frank Guerrero arrived to paint the room at the north end of the residence. This was to be the nursery. Before starting, Guerrero removed the screens from the windows. At 11 a.m., Roman Polanski called from London. Mrs. Chapman overheard Sharon's side of the conversation. Sharon was worried that Roman wouldn't be home in time for his birthday, August 18th. He apparently assured her that he would be back on August 12th as planned, as Sharon later told Mrs. Chapman this. Sharon informed Roman that she had enrolled him in a course for expectant fathers. Sharon received several other calls, one of them having to do with a neighbor's kitten that had strayed onto the property. Sharon had been feeding it with an eyedropper. When Terry Melcher had moved out, he left behind a number of cats, Sharon promising to look after them. They had since multiplied, and Sharon was caring for all 26, plus 2 dogs, hers and Abigail's. Most of the day, Sharon wore only bikini panties and a bra. This, according to Miss Chapman, was her usual at-home attire in hot weather. Shortly before noon, Mrs. Chapman, noticing that there were paw prints and dog splatters on the front door, washed down the whole exterior with vinegar and water, a small detail which later would become extremely important. Stephen Parent had lunch at his home in El Monte before returning to work at the plumbing supply company. He asked his mother if she would lay out clean clothes so he could make a quick change before going to his second job at the stereo shop later that afternoon. About 12:30, 2 of Sharon's friends, Joanna Pettit, Mrs. Alex Cord, and there's a star. This would be actress Joanna Petits, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, second close brush with violent death. She had also been a friend of Janice Wiley, who, together with her roommate Emily Hoffert, had been murdered in New York City in summer of 1963, in what became known as the Career Girls murder case. Wow. At about 12:30, 2 of Sharon's friends, Joanne and Mrs. Alex Cord and Barbara Lewis, arrived at Cielo for lunch. Mrs. Chapman served them. It was all small talk, the woman would later recall, mostly about the expected baby. Sharon showed the 2 women the nursery and introduced them to Guerrero. About 1 p.m., Sandy Tennant called Sharon. As previously noted, Sharon told her she wasn't planning a party that evening, but did invite her to drop by, an invitation Sandy declined. If one believed all the subsequent talk, half of Hollywood was invited to 10050 Cielo Drive for a party that night, and at that last minute changed their minds. According to Winifred Chapman, Sandy Tennant, Debbie Tate, and others close to Sharon, there was no party that night, nor was one ever planned, but LAPD probably spent 100 man-hours attempting to locate people who had allegedly attended the non-event. Yeah, I don't like the humidity either, Mayor. Having finished the first coat of paint, Guerrero left about 1:30. He didn't replace the screen since he intended to return Monday to give the room a final coat. The police later concluded the killers either didn't notice they were off or feared entering a freshly painted room. About 2 p.m., Abigail purchased a bicycle from a shop in Santa Monica Boulevard, arranging for it to be delivered later that afternoon. At the same time, David Martinez, one of Altabelli's two gardeners, arrived at 150 Cielo and began work. Wojtek and Abigail arrived not long after this, joining Sharon and her guests for a late lunch. About 3 p.m., the second gardener, Tom Vargas, arrived. As he came in the gate, Abigail was arriving out in her Camaro. 5 minutes later, Wojtek also left, driving the Firebird. Joanna and Barbara Lewis departed about 3:30. At about the same time, Sebring's butler, Amos Russell, served Jay and his current female companion coffee in bed. LAPD eventually located the girl and determined that she had not accompanied Sebring to the Tate residence that night. About 3:45, Jay called Sharon, apparently telling her he would be over earlier than expected. He later called his secretary to pick up his messages, and John Madden to discuss his visit to the San Francisco salon the next day. He didn't mention to either his plans for that evening, but he did tell Madden he had spent the day hard at work on a quest for the new franchise shops. Just after Sebring called Sharon, Mrs. Chapman told her he had finished her work and was leaving for the day. Since it was so hot in the city, Sharon asked her if she would like to stay over. Mrs. Chapman declined. It was undoubtedly the most important decision she ever made. David Martinez was just leaving, and he gave Mrs. Chapman a ride to the bus stop. Vargas remained behind, completing his work. While gardening near the house, he noticed Sharon asleep on the bed in her room. When a delivery man from the air dispatch company arrived with 2 blue steamer trunks, Vargas did not wish to disturb Mrs. Polanski, signed for them. The time, 4:30 p.m., was noted on the receipt. The trunks combined Sharon's clothing, which Roman had shipped from London. Abigail kept her 4:30 appointment with Dr. Flicker. Before Vargas left, about 4:45, he went back to the guest house and asked Garrettson if he would do some watering over the weekend, as the weather was extremely hot and dry. Across the city in El Monte, Stephen Parent hurried home, changed clothes, waved to his mother, and was off to his second job. Between 5:30 and 6 p.m., Mrs. Terry Kay was backing out of her driveway at 9845 Easton Drive when she observed Jay Sebring driving down the road in his Porsche, seemingly in a hurry. Perhaps because his car was blocking his progress, he did not wave in his usual manner. Sometime between 6 and 6:30 p.m., Sharon's 13-year-old sister, Debbie, called her, asking if she would drop by that evening with some friends. Sharon, who tired easily because of her advanced pregnancy, suggested that they make it another time. Between 7:30 and 8 p.m., Dennis Hurst arrived at the Seattle address to deliver the bicycle Abigail had purchased in his father's shop earlier that day. Sebring, whom Hurst later identified from photographs, answered the door. Hurst saw no one else and observed nothing suspicious. Between 9:45 and 10 p.m., John Del Guadio, manager of the El Coyote restaurant on Beverly Boulevard, noted Jay Sebring's name on the waiting list for dinner, party of 4. Dell didn't actually see Sebring or the others, and it was probable that he was off on the time. As waitress Kathy Palmer, who served the 4, recalled, they waited in the bar 15 to 20 minutes before a table was available. Then, after finishing dinner, left about 9:45 or 10. Shown photographs, she was able to positively identify Sebring, Tate, Farkowski, or Folger. If Abigail was along, they must have left the restaurant before 10, as it was about this time that Mrs. Folger called this yellow number and talked to her, confirming that she planned to take the 10 a.m. United flight to San Francisco the next morning. Mrs. Folger told the police that Abigail did not express any alarm or anxiety as to her personal safety or the situation at the Polanski house. A number of people reported seeing Sharon and or Jay at the candy store, the factory, the Daisy, or various other clubs that night. None of the reports checked out. Several persons claimed to have talked by phone with one another of the victims between 10 p.m. and midnight. When questioned, they suddenly changed their stories or told them in such a way that the police concluded they were either confused or lying. About 11 p.m., Steve Parent stopped at Dale's Market in El Monte and asked his friend John if he wanted to go for a ride. Parent had been dating John's younger sister, Jean. John suggested they make it another night. About 45 minutes later, Steve Parent arrived at the Cielo address, hoping to sell William Garrettson a clock radio. Parent left the guest house at about 12:15 a.m. He got as far as his Rambler. I've watched that show, The Artsy Nurse, too, as well. I used to watch the Final 24. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen a lot of shows. I mean, it was the hottest day of the month. It is sad. The police also interviewed a number of other girls rumored to have been with Sebring on the evening of August 8th. Ex-girlfriend of Sebring was supposed to have been with him on 8869. Not so. Last slept with him 7569 cooperative. Knew he used C. She does not. Dated him steady for 3 months. Knew nothing of this way out bedroom activities. Was to go to a party at Cielo that night, but went to a movie instead. It was no small assignment, considering the number of girls the stylist had dated, yet none of the detectives was heard to complain. It wasn't every day they got the chance to talk to starlets, models, a Playboy centerfold, even a dancer in the Lido de Paris show at Stardust Hotel in Las Vegas. There was another barometer to the fear, the difficulty the police had in locating people. To have suddenly moved a few days after a crime would, in ordinary circumstances, be considered suspicious, but not in this case. From a not untypical report asked why she had moved right after the murders, she replied that she wasn't sure why. Like that everyone else in Hollywood, she was just afraid. August 16th to 30th, 1969. Though the police told the press there had been no new developments, there were some that went unreported. After testing them for blood, Sergeant Joe Granado gave the 3 pieces of gun strip to Sergeant William Lee of the Firearms and Explosives Unit of SID. Lee didn't even have to consult his manuals. One look and he knew the grip was from a high standard gun. He called Ed Lomax, product manager for the firm that owns High Standard, and arranged to meet him at the police academy. Lomax also made a quick ID. Only one gun has a grip like that, he told Lee. The high standard 22 caliber Longhorn revolver, popularly known as the Buntline Special, patterned after a pair of revolvers Western author Ned Buntline had made for Marshall Wyatt Earp. The gun had the following specifications: capacity 9 shots, barrel 9.5 inches, overall length was 15 inches, walnut grips, blue finish, weight 35 ounces. Suggested retail price $69.95. It was, Lomax said, rather a unique revolver. Introduced in April 1967. Only 2,700 have been manufactured with this type of grip. I can imagine, Brittany. Oh, I was pregnant in the winter, so it wasn't in the summer. My sister had a June baby, so yeah, she was hurting. Lee obtained from Lomax a list of stores where the gun had been sold, plus a photograph of the model, and LAPD began preparing a flyer which they planned to send to every police department in the United States and Canada. A few days after the Lee-Lomax meeting, Sid criminalist Dwayne Wolfer went to 10050 Cielo to conduct sound tests to see whether he could verify or disprove Garrison's claim that he had heard neither screams nor gunshots. Using a general level sound meter and a 22 caliber revolver and duplicating as closely as possible the conditions that existed on the night of the murders, Wolfer had an assistant proved, one, that if Garrison was inside the guest house, as he claimed, he couldn't possibly have heard the shots that killed Stephen Parent, and two, that with the stereo on, with the volume at either 4 or 5, he couldn't have heard either screams or gunshots coming from in front of or inside the main residence. When Officer Weisenhunt searched the guest house following Garrett's arrest, he noticed the volume control on the set was between 4 and 5. The test supported Garrison's story that he did not hear any shots that night. Yet, despite Wolfer's scientific findings, there were those at LAPD who still felt that Garrison must have heard something. It was almost as if he had been such a good suspect that they were reluctant to admit him blameless. In a summary report on the case made up at the end of August, the Tate detectives observed, in the opinion of the investigation officers and by scientific research by Sid, it is highly unlikely that Garrison was not aware of the screams, gunshots, and other turmoil that would result from a multiple homicide such as took place in his near proximity. These findings, however, did not absolutely preclude the fact that Garrison did not hear or see any of the events connected with the homicides. Okay, Michelle. The evening of Saturday, August 16th, Roman was interviewed for several hours by LAPD. The following day, he returned to Cielo Drive for the first time since the murders. He was accompanied by a writer and a photographer for life, and Peter Herkos, the well-known psychic who had been hired by friends of Jay Sebring to make a reading at the scene. As Polanski identified himself and drove through the gate, the premises still being secured by LAPD, He commented bitterly to Thomas Thompson, the life writer and a longtime acquaintance, "This must be the world-famous orgy house." Oh my. Thomas asked him how long Gibby and Wojtek had been staying there. "Too long, I guess," he answered. The blue bedsheet that had earlier covered Abigail Folger was still on the lawn. The bloody lettering on the door had faded, but the three letters were still decipherable. The havoc inside seemed to take him aback for a minute. As the dark stains in the entryway and once inside the living room, the even larger ones in the front of the couch, Polanski climbed the ladder to the loft, found the videotape LAPD had returned, and slipped it into his pocket, according to one of the officers who was present. On coming back down, he walked from room to room, here and there touching things as if he could conjure up the past. The pillows were still bunched up in the center of the bed, as they had been that morning. "They were always that way when he was gone," he told Thompson, adding simply, "She hugged them instead of me." He lingered a long time at the armoire, where, in anticipation, Sharon had kept the baby things. The light photographer took a number of Polaroid shots first to check lighting, placement, and angles. Usually these are thrown away after the regular pictures are taken, but Hirkos asked if he might have several of them to aid in his impressions, and they were given to him. A gesture the photographer in life would very soon regret. As Polanski looked at objects once familiar, now turned grotesque, he kept asking why. He posed outside the front door, looking as lost and confused as if he had stepped onto one of his own sets to discover everything immediately and grossly changed. Hirkos later told the press, "3 men killed Sharon Tate, and the other 4, and I know who they are. I have identified the killers to the police and told them that these men must be stopped soon, otherwise they will kill again." The killers, he added, were friends of Sharon Tate, turned into frenzied homicidal maniacs by massive doses of LSD. The killings, he was quoted as saying, erupted during a black magic ritual known as Guna Guna, its suddenness catching the victims unawares. If Hirkos did identify the 3 men to the LAPD, no one bothered to make a report on it. All publicity to the contrary, notwithstanding those in law enforcement have standard procedure for handling such information. Listen politely, then forget it. Being inadmissible as evidence, it is valueless. Also skeptical of Hirkos' explanation was Roman Polanski. He would return to the house several times over the next few days, as if looking for the answer no one else had been able to give him. There was an interesting juxtaposition of stories on the B, or lead local news, page of the Los Angeles Times that Sunday. The big story, Tate commandeered the top spot with its headline, "Anatomy of a Mass Murder in Hollywood." Below it was a smaller story, its one-column head reading, "La Bianca couple, victims of Slayer, given final rights." To the left of Tate's story, and just above an artist drawing of the Tate premises, was a much briefer, seemingly unrelated item, chosen one suspected because it was small enough to fit the space. Its headline read, "Police Raid Ranch, Arrest 26 Suspects in Auto Theft Ring." It began 26 persons living in an abandoned Western movie set on an isolated Chatsworth ranch were arrested in a daybreak raid by sheriff's deputies Saturday as suspects in a major auto theft ring. According to deputies, the group had been stealing Volkswagens and converting them into dune buggies. The story, which did not contain the names of any of those arrested but did mention that a sizable arsenal of weapons had been seized, concluded, the ranch is owned by George Spahn, a blind 80-year-old semi-invalid. It is located on the semi-hills at 12,000 Santa Susana Pass Road. Deputies and Spahn, who live alone in a house on the ranch, apparently knew there were people living on the set but were unaware of their activity. They said he couldn't get around and he was afraid of them. It was a minor story and didn't even rate as follow-up when, a few days later, all the suspects were released. It was being discovered that they had been arrested on a misstated warrant. Following a report that Wilson, Madigan, Pickett, and Jones were in Canada, LAPD sent the Royal Canadian Mounted Police a warrant on the 4 men. RCMP broadcasted it, alert reporters picked it up, and within hours, the news media in the United States were heralding a break in the Tate case. Although LAPD denied that the 4 men were suspects, saying they were only wanted for questioning, the impression remained that arrests were imminent. There were phone calls among them, one from Madigan, another from Jones. Jones was in Jamaica and said he would fly back voluntarily if the police wished to talk to him. They admitted they did. Madigan showed up at Parker Center with his attorney. He cooperated fully, agreeing to answer any questions except those which might tend to involve him in the use or sale of narcotics. He admitted having visited Ferkowski at the Seattle residence twice during the week before the murders, so it was possible his prints were there. On the night of the murders, Madigan said he attended a party given by an airline stewardess who lived in the apartment below his. He left about 2 or 3 a.m. This was later verified by LAPD, which also checked his prints against the unmatched Layton's found at Cielo address without success. Madigan was given a polygraph and passed, as did Jones, when he arrived from Jamaica. Jones said that he and Wilson had been in Jamaica from July 12th to August 17th, at which time he had flown to Los Angeles and Wilson had flown to Toronto. Asked why they had gone to Jamaica, he said they were making a movie about marijuana. Jones' alibi would have to be checked out, but after his polygraph and a negative print check, he ceased to be a good suspect. This left Herb Wilson and Jeffrey Pickett, nicknamed Pick. By this time, LAPD knew where both men were. The publicity had been bad. There was no disputing that. As Stephen Roberts, Los Angeles bureau chief for the New York Times, later put it, all the stories had a common thread, that somehow the victims have brought the murders on themselves. The attitude was summed up in the epigram, live freaky, die freaky. Well, that's just bullshit. Given Roman Polanski's affinity for the macabre, rumors of Sebring's sexual proclivities, the presence of both Miss Tate and her former lover at the death scene while her husband was away, the anything goes image of the Hollywood jet set, drugs, and the sudden clamp on police leaks, almost any kind of plot could be fashioned and was. Sharon Tate was called everything from the queen of the Hollywood orgy scene to a dabbler in satanic arts. Wow, that's insane. Like, she's dead.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like the time, being in the late 60s, but like everything about this case was, from the killers to the victims, everybody was just orgy. I was just like,
yeah. Oh. I mean, I laughed at it at first, but I mean, it's not it. What they're saying about her is just crazy. Now it's satanic.
Yeah,
I can't believe how much shit this case has gone through. Like, I'm not even halfway. I'm not even a quarter of the way through this book, and I didn't even know half of this crap. And I'm calling it crap because it seems like it is a botched case. Everything that happened and stuff that was done, like, this is insane.
And this was right when it happened. There's, still 40 years of more crap. It is going down a rabbit hole.
It is crazy. Polanski himself was not spared. In the same newspaper, a reader could find one columnist saying the director was so grief-stricken he could not speak, while a second had him nightclubbing with a bevy of airline stewardesses. If he wasn't personally responsible for the murders, more than one paper implied he must know who committed them. Wow. From a national news weekly, Sharon's body was found nude, not clad in bikini pants and a bra as had first been reported. Sebring was wearing only the torn remnants of a pair of boxer shorts. Perkowski's trousers were down to his ankles. Both Sebring and Tate had X's carved on their bodies. One of Miss Tate's breasts had been cut off, apparently as a result of an indiscriminate slashing. Sebring had been sexually mutilated? The rest was equally accurate. No fingerprints were found anywhere. No drug traces were found in any of the 5 bodies, and so on. Though it read like something from the old Confidential, the article had appeared in Time, its writer apparently having some tall explaining to do when his editors became aware of his imaginative embellishments. You can step in whenever you want if you have something to say, absolutely. Angered by a multitude of slanders, Roman Polanski called a press conference on August 19th, where he castigated newsmen who, for a selfish reason, wrote horrible things about my wife. There had been no marital rift. He reiterated, no dope, no orgies. His wife had been beautiful and a good person, and the last few years I spent with her were the only time of true happiness in my life. Some of the reporters were less than sympathetic to Polanski's complaints about publicity, having just learned that he had permitted Life to take exclusive photos of the murder scene. Not quite exclusive. Before the magazine reached the stands, several of the Polaroid prints appeared in the Hollywood Citizen News. Life had been scooped by its own photographs. There were some things Polanski did not tell the press, or even his closest friends. One was that he had agreed to be polygraphed by the Los Angeles Police Department. Polanski's polygraph examination was conducted by Lieutenant Earl Deemer at Parker Center. Mind if I call you Roman? My name is Earl. Sure, I will lie on Or I will lie 1 or 2 times during it, and I will tell you after, okay? Well, all right. Deemer asked Roman how he first met his wife. Polanski sighed, then slowly began talking. I first met Sharon 4 years ago at some kind of party Marty Reisenschaft, a terrible Hollywood producer, had. The guy who makes Beverly Hillbillies and all kinds of shit. But he seduced me with his talk about art, and I contracted with him to do this film, a spoof on the vampires, you know. And I met Sharon at the party. She was doing another film for him in London at the time, staying in London alone. Ranshoff said, "Wait until you see our leading lady, Sharon Tate." I thought she was quite pretty, but I wasn't at the time very impressed. But then I saw her again. I took her out. We talked a lot, you know. At the time, I was really swinging. All I was interested in was to fuck a girl and move on. I had a very bad marriage, you know. Years before, not bad, it was beautiful, but my wife dumped me, so I was really feeling great because I was a success with women and I just like to fuck. I just like to fucking around. I was a swinger, huh? So I met her a couple of more times. I knew she was with Jay. Then Branishop wanted me to use her in the film, and I made tests with her. Once before, I wanted to take her out, and she was being difficult, wanting to go out, not wanting to go out. So I said, "Fuck you," and I hung up. Probably that was the beginning of everything, you know. Question: You sweet talked her. Answer: Right. She got intrigued by me, and I really played it cool, and it took me long dating before, and then I started seeing that she liked me. I remember I lost a key, and I spent a night in her house in the same bed, you know, and I knew there was no question of making love with her. That's the type of girl she was. I mean, that rarely happens to me. And then we went on location. It was about 2 or 3 months later. When we were on location shooting the film, I asked her, "Would you like to make love with me?" And she said very sweetly, "Yes." And then for the first time, I was somewhat touched by her, you know. And we went sleeping regularly together. And she was so sweet and so lovely that I didn't believe it, you know. I'd had bad experiences and I didn't believe that people like that existed. And I was waiting a long time for her to show the color, right? But she was beautiful without the phoniness. She was fantastic. She loved me. I was living in a different house. I didn't want her to come to my house. And she would say, "I don't want to smother you. I only want to be with you," etc. And I said, "You know who I am, or you know how I am. I screw around." And she said, "I don't want to change you." She was ready to do everything just to be with me. She was a fucking angel. She was a unique character who I'll never meet again in my life. Deemer asked about his first meeting with Sebring. It had occurred in a London restaurant, Polanski said, describing how nervous he had been and how Jay had broken the ice by saying, "I dig you, man. I dig you." More important, he seemed happy to see Sharon happy. Roman had remained slightly uncomfortable through their next several meetings, but when I came to Los Angeles, started living here, he came to our parties, etc., and I started liking Jay very much. He was a very sweet person. Oh, I know of his hang-ups. He liked to whip tie girls. Sharon told me about it. He tied her once to the bed, and she told me about it, and was making fun of him. To her it was funny, but sad. And he was more and more often a guest of ours. He would just hang around, and sometimes Sharon would resent his staying too long because he was always the last to leave, you know? I'm sure in the beginning of our relationship there was still his love for Sharon, but I think that largely it disappeared. I'm quite sure. Question: So there was no indication that Sharon went back to Sebring at any time? Answer: Not a chance. I'm the bad one. I always screw around. That was Sharon's big hang up, you know? But Sharon was absolutely not interested in Jay. Question: Was she interested in any men? No. There was not a chance of any other man getting close to Sharon. Question: Okay, I know you have to get on your way. We might as well start. I'll tell you how this works, Roman. Deemer explained the mechanics of a polygraph, adding, "It's important for you to remain quiet. I know you talk a lot with your hands. You're emotional. You're an actor-type person, so it's going to be a little difficult for you. But when the pressure is on, I want you to remain quiet. When it's off, you can talk and even wave your arms, within reason." After instructing Polanski to confine his answers to a yes or a no and to save any explanations for later, Deemer began the interrogation. "Do you have a valid California driver's license?" "Yes." "Have you eaten lunch today?" "No." "Do you know who took the life of Wojtek and the others?" "No." "Do you smoke cigarettes?" "Yes." There was a long pause. Then Polanski began laughing. "You know what you're going to do with that screwing around? I'm going to have to start over again." "Sorry." "Look at this increase in your blood pressure when you start to lie about your cigarettes. Boom, boom, boom. Just like a staircase. Okay, let's start over again. Are you now in Los Angeles?" "Yes." "Did you have anything to do with taking the life of Wojtek and the others?" "No." "Have you eaten lunch today?" "No." "Do you feel any responsibility for the death of Wojtek and the others?" "Yes. I feel responsible that I wasn't there. That is all." "From running this thing through your mind repeatedly, as I know you must have, Who have you come up with as the target? I don't think it ever crossed your mind that Sharon might be the target, that anyone had that kind of mad on for her. Is there anyone else who was up there that you can think of who would be a target for this type of activity? I thought everything. I thought the target could be myself. Why? I mean, it could be some kind of jealousy or plot or something. It couldn't be Sharon directly. If Sharon were the target, it would mean that I was the target. It could be Jay was the target. It could be Wojtek. It could also be sheer folly. Someone just decided to commit a crime. What would Seabrain be doing, for instance, that would make him a target? Some money thing, maybe? I've also heard a lot about his drug thing during drug deliveries. It's difficult for me to believe. Polanski had always believed Sebring to be a rather prosperous man, yet he recently heard he had large debts. The indication to me is that he must have been in serious financial trouble despite the appearances he gave. That's a hell of a way to collect debts. It's no ordinary bill collector that goes up there and kills 5 people. No. What I'm talking about is for this reason. He might have gotten into some dangerous areas to make money. You understand? In desperation, he may have got mixed up with illegal people, Eliminating Sharon and the kid, of the 3 remaining, you think that Sebring would be the logical target, huh? The whole crime seems so illogical. If I'm looking for a motive, I'd look for something which doesn't fit your habitual standard, with which you used to work as police. Something much far out. Deemer asked Polanski if he had received any hate mail after Rosemary's Baby. He admitted he had, surmising it could be some type of witchcraft, a maniac or something. This execution, this tragedy, indicates to me it must have been some kind of nut. I wouldn't be surprised if I were the target. In spite of all the drug thing, the narcotics, I think the police like to jump too hastily on this type of lead, because it is their usual kind of lead. The only connection I know of Wojtek and with any kind of narcotic was he smoked pot. So did Jay, plus cocaine. I knew he was sniffing. In the beginning, I thought it was just an occasional kick. When I discussed it with Sharon, she said, "Are you kidding? He's been doing it for 2 years regularly." Did Sharon mess with narcotics to any extent other than pot? No, she did. No, she did take LSD before we met many times, and when we met, we discussed it. I took it 3 times when it was legal. He added, laughing. Then, serious again, Polanski recalled the only time they had taken it together. It was toward the end of 1965. It was his 3rd trip, and Sharon's 15th or 16th. It had begun pleasantly enough with them talking all night, but then in the morning she started flipping out and screaming, and I was scared to death. And after that, she said, "I told you I couldn't take it, and this is the end." And it was the end for me and for her. But I can tell you this, without question, she took no drugs at all except for pot, and not too much. And during her pregnancy, there was no question. She was so in love with her pregnancy, she would do nothing. I'd pour a glass of wine, and she wouldn't touch it. Once more, Deemer took him through the questioning, then ended the examination, satisfied that Roman Polanski had no involvement in or any hidden knowledge of the murder of his wife and the others. Before leaving, Roman told him, "I'm devoted now to this thing." He intended to question even his friends, but I'm going to do it slowly so they don't get suspicious. No one knows I'm here. I don't want them to know that I'm trying in any way to help the police, I'm hoping in this way they'll have more sincerity. You have to go on living. Polanski thanked him, lighted a cigarette, and left. Hey, I thought you didn't smoke cigarettes, but Polanski had already gone. On August 20th, 3 days after Peter Hrukos accompanied Roman Polanski to Cielo residence, a picture of Hrukos appeared in the Citizen News. It was captioned, "Famed psychic Peter, famed for his consultation and murder cases, including the current Sharon Tate massacre, opens Friday night at the Huntington, Hartford, appearing through August 30th. Survivors Guild. At the time, I'm just going to read what Lisa said here. At the time of these murders, there was no internet. Computers are very large and operated by specialists. Large police departments were comprised of many precincts who did not necessarily speak to other precincts or police departments of other cities. Law enforcement agencies have so many tools and technologies that these departments did not possess." Yeah. Madigan and Jones have been eliminated as suspects. Wilson and Pickett remained. Because of his familiarity with the case, it was decided to send Lieutenant Deemer east to interview the 2. Jeffrey Pickett had been contacted through a relative, and a meeting was set up in Washington, D.C. hotel room. The son of a prominent State Department official, Pickett appeared to Deemer to be under the influence of some narcotic, probably an exciting drug. He also had a bandaged hand. When Deemer expressed curiosity about it, Pickett vaguely replied that he had cut it on a kitchen knife. Though he agreed to a polygraph, Deemer found that Pickett couldn't remain still or follow instructions, so he interviewed him informally. He claimed that on the day of the murders, he had been working in an auto company in Sheffield, Massachusetts. After he owned any weapons, he admitted he had a buck knife, purchased, he said, in Marlborough, Massachusetts, on a friend's credit card. Later, Pickett gave Deemer the knife. It was similar to the one found at Cielo. He also turned over a roll of videotape, which he claimed showed Abigail Folger and Wojtek using drugs at a party at the Tate residence. Pickett didn't say how he came into possession of the film or what use he had intended to make of it. Accompanied by Sergeant McGann, Deemer went to Massachusetts. A check at the time cards at the auto company in Sheffield revealed that Pickett's last workday was August 1st, 8 days before the homicides. Moreover, through 2 stores in Marlborough sold buck knives. Neither had ever stocked this particular model. Pickett's status as a suspect rose appreciably until the detectives interviewed the friend he had mentioned. Going through his credit card receipts, he produced the one for the buck knife. It had been purchased in Sudbury, Massachusetts on August 21st, long after the murders. The friend and his wife also recalled something Pickett had apparently forgotten. He had gone to the beach with them the weekend of August 8th to 10th. Pickett was subsequently polygraphed twice. Both times it was decided he was telling the truth and was not involved. Eliminate Pickett. Flying to Toronto, Deemer interviewed Herb Wilson. Although initially reluctant to submit to a polygraph, Wilson consented when Deemer agreed not to ask any questions that might make him liable to Canadian prosecution on narcotics charges. He passed. Eliminate Wilson. The fingerprints of both Pickett and Wilson were checked against the unmatched Tate latents with no match. Although the first Tate investigative report covering the period August 9th to the 31st concluded that Wilson, Madigan, Pickett, and Jones had been eliminated at the time of this report, in early September, Deemer and McGann flew to Ocho Rios, Jamaica to check out the alibis of Wilson and Jones. The pair claimed they had been there from July 8th until August 17th, making a movie about marijuana. Interviews with realtors, servants, and airline ticket agencies supported half their story. They had been in Jamaica at the time of the murders. It was quite possible they did have something to do with marijuana. The only regular visitor, excluding female friends, was a pilot who a few weeks before had, without explanation, quit his well-paying job with the leader airline to make unscheduled solo runs between Jamaica and the United States. As for their movie making, however, the detectives evinced some skepticism, the maid having told them the only camera she ever saw in the house was a small Kodak. The videotape Pickett gave Deemer was viewed in the SID lab. It was decidedly different from the one previously found in the loft. Apparently filmed during the period the Polanskis were away, it showed Abigail and Wojtek, Witold K., and an identified young lady having dinner in front of the fireplace of the Tate residence. The video machine was simply turned on and left to run, those present after a time seeming to forget it. Abigail wore her hair tied back in a rather severe effect. She looked both older and more tired than in her other photos. Wojtek looked dissipated. Though what appeared to be a marijuana was smoked, Wojtek seemed more drunk than high. At first, Abigail treated him with the exasperated affection one would accord to a spoiled child, but then the mood gradually changed. In an obvious attempt to exclude Abigail, Wojtek began speaking Polish. Abigail, in turn, was playing the grande dame, responding to his crude jests with witty repartee. Wojtek began calling her Lady Folger, then, as he became drunker, Lady F. Abigail talked about him in third person as if he wasn't present, commenting upon, with some disgust, his habit of coming down off his drug trips by getting drunk. I watched a doc on this. They did have fingerprinting back then. That's how they nailed Tex Watson with the murders. To those viewing the tape, it must have seemed nothing more than an overly long, exceedingly boring chronicle of a domestic argument, except for 2 incidents, which, considering what would happen to 2 of those present in this very house, gave it an eeriness as chilling as anything in Rosemary's Baby. As she was serving the dinner, Abigail recalled the time when Wojtek, stoned on drugs, looked into the fireplace and saw a strange shape. He had rushed for a camera, hoping to capture the image, a blazing pig's head. The second incident was, in its own way, even more disturbing. The microphone had been left on the table next to the roast. As the meat was being carved, it picked up amazingly loud, over and over again, the sound of the knife grating onto the bone. Hirokos was not only expert to volunteer a solution to the Tate homicides. On August 27th, Truman Capote appeared on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show to discuss the crime. One person acting alone had committed the murders. The author of In Cold Blood said authoritatively. He then proceeded to tell how and why the killer, a man, had been in the house earlier. Something had happened to trigger a kind of instant paranoia. The man then left the premises, went home to get a knife and a gun, and returned to systematically assassinate everyone in the place. According to the Cody's deductions, Stephen Parent was the last to die. From the knowledge accumulated in over 100 interviews with convicted murderers, Capote revealed that the killer was a very young, enraged paranoid. While committing the murders, he probably experienced a sexual release, then exhausted, went home and slept for 2 days. Although Capote had taken up the single suspect theory, the Tate detectives had by now abandoned it. Their sole reason for adopting it in the first place, Garrison was no longer a factor. Because of the number of victims, the locations of their bodies, and the use of 2 or more weapons, they were now convinced that at least 2 suspects were involved. Killers, plural. But as to their identity, they had not the slightest idea. At the end of August, there was a summing up for both the Tate and the LaBianca detectives. The first homicide investigation progress report, Tate ran to the 33 pages. Nowhere in it was there any mention of the LaBianca murders. The first homicide investigation progress report, LaBianca, was 17 pages long. Despite the many similarities between the 2 crimes, it contained not one reference to the Tate homicides. They remained 2 totally separate investigations. Although Lieutenant Bob Helter had over a dozen detectives working full-time on the Tate case, Sergeants Michael McGann, Robert Kelkins, and Jess Buckles were the principal investigators. All were longtime veterans on the force, having worked their way up to the status of detective the hard way, from the ranks. They could remember when there was no police academy and the seniority was more important than education and merit examinations. They were experienced and inclined to be set in their ways. The LaBianca team under Lieutenant Paul LePage consisted at various times of from 6 to 10 detectives, with Sergeants Frank Patchett, Michael Nielsen, Philip, and Gary Broda, the principal investigators. The LaBianca detectives were generally younger, better educated, and far less experienced. Graduates of the police academy for the most part, they were more inclined to use the use of modern investigative techniques. For example, they obtained the fingerprints of almost everyone they interviewed, gave more polygraph examinations, made more modus operandi, and fingerprint runs through the California State Bureau of Criminal Investigation and identification, and dug deeper into the backgrounds of the victims, even checking the outgoing calls Lena LaBianca had made from a motel while on vacation 7 years ago. They were also more inclined to consider far-out theories. For example, while the Tate report didn't attempt to explain that bloody word on the front door, the LaBianca report speculated as to the meaning of the writings found inside the residence on Waverly Drive. It even suggested a connection so remote it couldn't even be called a wild guess. The report noted, investigation revealed that the singing group The Beatles' most recent album had songs titled Helter Skelter and Piggies and Blackbird. The words in the song Blackbird frequently say arise, arise, which might be the meaning of rise near the front door. The idea was just sort of tossed in by whom no one would later remember and just as promptly forgotten. The 2 sets of detectives had one thing in common, however. Though to date the LaBianca team had interviewed some 150 persons, the Tate investigators more than twice that, neither was much closer to solving the case than when the bodies were first discovered. The Tate report listed 5 suspects, Garrison, Wilson, Madigan, Pickett, and Jones, all of whom had by this time been eliminated. The LaBianca report listed 15, but included Frank and Suzanne Struthers, Joe Dorgan, and numerous others who were never serious suspects. Of the 15, only Gardner remained a good possible. And though lacking a palm print for positive elimination, one had been found on a bank deposit slip on Leno's desk. His fingerprints had already been checked against those found in the residence with no match. The progress reports were strictly interdepartmental. The press would never see them, but already a few reporters were beginning to suspect that the real reason for the official silence was that there was nothing to report. I'm just going to read this. This one's really short. There's one more chapter, and then that'll be it. September 1969. At about noon on Monday, September 1st, 1969, 10-year-old Stephen Weiss was fixing the sprinkler on the hill behind his home when he found a gun. Stephen and his parents lived at 3627 Longview Valley Road in Sherman Oaks. Running parallel to Longview atop the hill was Beverly Glen. The gun was lying next to the sprinkler under a bush about 75 feet or halfway up the steep hill. Stephen had watched Dragnet on TV. He knew how guns should be handled. Picking it up very carefully by the tip of the barrel so as to not eradicate prints, Stephen took the gun back to his house and showed it to his father, Bernard Weiss. The senior Weiss took one look and called LAPD. Officer Michael Watson, on patrol in the area, responded to the radio call. More than a year later, Stephen would be asked to describe the incident from the witness stand. Did you show him the gun? Yes. Did he touch the gun? Yes. How did he touch it? With both hands all over the gun. So much for Dragnet. Officer Watson took the cartridges out of the cylinder. There were 9. 7 empty shell casings, and 2 live rounds. The gun itself was a .22 caliber, high-standard Longhorn revolver. It had dirt on it and rust. The trigger guard was broken, the barrel loose and slightly bent as if it had been used to hammer something. The gun was also missing the right-hand grip. Officer Watson took the revolver and shells back to Valley Services Division of LAPD, located in Van Nuys, and after booking them as found evidence, turned them over to the property section, where they were tagged, placed in envelopes, and filed away. Between September 3rd and 5th, LAPD sent out the first batch of confidential flyers on the wanted take gun, in addition to a photograph of the high-standard .22 caliber Longhorn revolver and a list of high-standard outlets supplied by Lomax. Deputy Chief Robert Houghton sent a covering letter which asked police to interview anyone who had purchased such a gun and to visually check the weapon to see if the original grips are intact. To avoid leaks to the media, he suggested the following cover story. Such a gun had been recovered with other stolen property, and the police wished to determine its ownership. LAPD sent out approximately 300 of the flyers to various law enforcement agencies in California, other parts of the United States, and Canada. Someone neglected to mail one to the Valley Services Division of the Los Angeles Police Department in Van Nuys. On September 10th, 1 month after the Tate murders, a large advertisement appeared in the newspapers in the Los Angeles area. Reward for $25,000. Roman Polanski and friends of the Polanski family offered to pay a $25,000 reward to the person or persons who furnish information leading to the arrest and conviction of the murderer or murderers of Sharon Tate, her unborn child, and the other 4 victims. Information should be sent to Post Office Box 648, Terminal Annex, Los Angeles, California. Persons wishing to remain anonymous should provide sufficient means for later identification, one method of which is to tear the newspaper page in half, transmit one half with the information submitted, and save the remaining half for the matching up later. In the event even more than one person is entitled to the reward will be divided equally between them. In announcing the reward, Peter Sellers, who had put up a portion of the money, together with Warren Beatty, Yul Brynner, and others, said someone must have knowledge or suspicions they are withholding or may be afraid to reveal. Someone must have seen the blood-soaked clothing, the knife, the gun, and the getaway car. Someone must be able to help. Although unannounced in the press, others had already begun their own unofficial inquiries. Sharon's father, Colonel Paul Tate, had retired from the Army in August. Growing a beard and letting his hair grow long, the former intelligence officer began frequenting the Sunset Strip, hippie pads, and places where drugs were sold, looking for some lead to the killer or killers of his daughter and the others. The police were fearful Colonel Tate's private investigation might become a private war, since there were reports he did not go on his forays unarmed. Nor were the police happy about the reward. Besides the implication that LAPD wasn't capable of solving the case on its own, such an announcement usually yields only crackpot calls, and of these, they already had a surplus. Most had come in following the release of Garrison, the callers blaming the murders on everyone from the Black Power movement to the Polish secret police. Their sources, imagination, hearsay, even Sharon herself returned during a seance. One wife called the police to accuse her husband. He was evasive as to her whereabouts that night. Hustlers, hairdressers, actors, actresses, psychics, psychotics all got into the act. The calls revealed not so much the underside of Hollywood as the underside of human nature. The victims were accused of sexual abbreviations as peculiar as the minds of the person who called them in. Complicating LAPD's task was a large number of people, often not anonymous and in some cases very well known, who seemed anxious to implicate their friends, if not directly connecting them with the murders, at least involving them with the drug scene. They were proponents of every possible theory. The Mafia did it. The Mafia couldn't have done it because the killings were so unprofessional. The killings were intentionally unprofessional so the Mafia wouldn't be suspected. One of the most persistent callers was Steve Brandt, a former gossip columnist. Because he had been a friend of 4 of the 5 Tate victims, he had been a witness at Sharon's and Roman's marriage. The police took him seriously at first, Brandt supplying considerable information on Wilson, Pickett, and their associates. But as the calls became more and more frequent, the names more and more prominent, it became obvious that Brandt was so obsessed with the murders. Sure, there was a death list that he was next. Brandt twice attempted suicide. The first time in Los Angeles, a friend arrived in time. The second time in New York, he left a Rolling Stones concert to return to his hotel. When actress Ultraviolet called to make sure he was all right, he told her he had taken sleeping pills. She immediately called the desk man at the hotel, but by the time he reached the room, Brandt was dead. For such a well-publicized crime, there were surprisingly few confessions. It was as if the murders were so horrible that even the chronic confessors didn't want to become involved. A recently convicted felon, anxious to make a deal, did claim another man had bragged up involvement in the killings, but after investigation, the story proved bogus. One after another, leads were checked out, then eliminated, leaving the police no closer to a solution than when the murders were discovered. Though almost forgotten for a time, by mid-September, the pair of prescription glasses found near the trunks in the living room of the Tate residence had, simply by the process of elimination, become one of the most important remaining clues. Early that month, the detectives showed the glasses to various optical companies' representatives. What they learned was, in part, discouraging. The frames were a popular model, the Manhattan style readily available, while the prescription lenses were also a stock item, meaning they didn't have to be ground to order. But on the plus side, they also learned several things about the person who had worn them. Their owner was probably a man. He had a small, almost volleyball-shaped head. His eyes were far apart. His left ear was approximately 1/4 to 1/2 inch higher than his right ear, and he was extremely myopic. If he didn't have an extra pair, he would probably have to replace the glasses soon. A partial description of one of the Tate killers? Possibly. It was also possible that the glasses belonged to someone totally unconnected with the crime, or that they had been left behind as a false clue. It was at least something to go on. Another flyer with the exact specifications of the prescription was sent to all members of the American the American Association, the California Association, the Los Angeles County Association, and one in Southern California, in hopes that it would yield more than had the flyer on the gun. Of the .131 high-standard Longhorn revolver sold in California, law enforcement agencies have been able to locate and eliminate 105, a surprisingly large percentage since many of the owners had moved to other jurisdictions. The search continued, but to date it hadn't yielded a single good suspect. A second gun letter was sent to 13 different gun shops in the United States, which in recent months had ordered replacement grips for the Longhorn model. Though the replies to this one wouldn't come back until much later, it too drew blank. Nor were the La Bianca detectives having any better luck. To date, they had given 11 polygraphs, all had been negative. As a result of an MO run through the C2 computer, the fingerprints of 140 suspects were checked, a palm print found on a bank deposit slip was checked against 2,150 suspects, and a fingerprint found on the liquor cabinet was checked against a total of 41,000 suspects, all negative. At the end of September, neither the Tate nor La Bianca detectives bothered to write up a progress report. Oh, of course. All right, I am done reading for tonight, anyways, and I gotta go to the phone booth.
Yeah, sorry, I'd talk more. I got nothing on this section. I did notice that I might be able to share my screen, so I'm trying to find some photos. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it work this time.
Get off that! Oh, silly kitty! What are you doing? I don't know. Anybody else's cat like to walk on laptops or sleep on them? Jeez. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. No worries, Nancy. I'm just gonna grab some stuff now and take an apple. I keep forgetting to take an Advil before. I can't believe how much someone's voice, like my throat hurts just reading. That's insane. I'm taking an Advil. Oh my god. Feels like strep throat at first. It's weird.
Yeah. Am I able to share my? Well, maybe I'll just click it and see.
What? Sorry.
Oh, I noticed there's a share option for like I could share my computer
Yeah,
screen,
do that. Absolutely.
and I'm trying to.
Yeah, Leland's feeling better actually. I guess he didn't have a cold or anything. I thought he did. He thought he did. I thought he was going to get what I got, but nope. He's going strong. I gotta turn this air conditioner
Give
off
me
too. I know I'm
one
cold now.
sec. Sorry, 1 second.
The muscles in my throat. Yeah. I completely feel for singers. Wow.
Yeah,
So
I don't know how to do it.
you don't know how to do it?
No, like how they could do it. My throat would be dead.
Oh, it hurts. It's crazy. Like I didn't even think that it would, but it does. That's what I think too, Nancy, because he drank one yesterday and today, and he's fine. I'm glad though. But he doesn't get as sick anymore. Like we're both pretty. We eat healthy. We don't eat a lot of junk food, and we're always taking vitamins and stuff. Vitamin C we take every morning, and we drink orange juice every morning. I take more vitamins than him. Like I take multivitamins and stuff, but we're pretty healthy, so I think that helps. And that drink definitely did something. Oh, I need to drink.
I would like to share like the photos of the Tate house, but I'm trying not to get any actual victims in the photos.
Ah,
That's my hang up at the moment.
yeah, Brittany. It's like talking for an hour straight. It sucks. I'm happy to do it though. I mean, it doesn't. It hurts, but it goes away after a while. I should be okay by tomorrow. But I love this book. It's great, and I'm learning so many new things that I had no idea about.
Nope, nope, nope. Go back.
Fisherman friends, long. Oh yeah. I don't know if. Okay, my grandmother had fisherman friends, and I'm telling you, I don't know if they were like really, really old or something, but I hated them. They were They tasted so bad. Oh, they were disgusting. But like now, when you buy them, there's like cherry and stuff like that, and they're good. But I don't know what the hell was wrong with her fisherman's friends. uh, they were nasty. They must have been old. They had to have been because she didn't give me them. I thought it was candy.
Sorry, this is taking a minute.
Oh, that's okay. The cinnamon ones are nasty. I don't know what kind these were. They were I don't know. I think they were kind of like an off yellow.
see. Screen sharing is with 2 monitors. Yeah, I don't have 2 monitors.
I'm just reading your guys' comments. They should be white or brown. Okay, I think they were brown then. Or the brown ones like nasty. I'm trying to. I can't even explain the taste. They're just like. I don't even know. I can't tell you. You can sing pretty good then, eh, Brittany? The brown ones are nasty. Okay, then that's what they were. Because they're disgusting. It was like you could tell you were taking medicine. It was like chewing a Tylenol or something. Whoa! What the hell happened?
Is it sharing? I'm sorry.
What happened?
I don't know.
Okay, there we go.
Are you able to see my mouse?
Yes.
Moving around? Okay. So this is the Tate house. We have the front door over here behind that guy's face.
He looks like, kind of looks like a stripper. He's kind of cute. Like,
What I was trying to find. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Trying to.
Oh, Jesus. Whoa.
So the victims.
You got everything, eh? There's all the victims. Yeah, she's
Wojtek
gorgeous.
Krakowski. Oh, she's, yeah, very gorgeous.
Wow. So how do you say his name? Wojtek? I'm saying it wrong, aren't I?
Wojtek.
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 Okay. I'm writing that down too. I finally got Cielo right.
Krakowski. Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to Wojtek. All right.
I could be wrong too.
No, I think you're right. Wojtek? No, it's Wojtek. You're right. Yeah, she's gorgeous. Wow.
Stephen Parent, Jay Sebring, and Abigail Folger. The killers.
Yeah. I can't believe there's not more people in here. I have you. You're like the star of the show. Like you've got inside information. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe people will start to realize what this is actually about. Because a lot of my people are just KJ watchers, right?
It's a beautiful house.
Whose is that? Is that what, the Tate house?
This is the Tate house.
Wow. It's secluded, right? Like their neighbors are like, how was that house? Because I you know, I've never been there or anything, and I don't really know. But how
it doesn't exist anymore. It was further down, but it kind of at the end of like a little cul-de-sac. It's like it's on its own like kind of like dead end type street with nicer houses, and it's the Hollywood Hills. So this is the back of the house.
Oh wow, look at the pool.
This is where Abigail ran out of trying to escape, and then they caught her
so
out
she
on
was
the
found
wall.
Was she found at the back, or wasn't it?
She ran around to the front, so I'm trying to avoid the.
It's okay.
The body.
Shit, I've never seen those photos before. There's that pig
written on. Yeah.
Whose blood was that written in? Do you know?
Sharon Tate's.
Yeah. Yeah, Trent Reznor was the one that actually bought that house after, from what I recall, and then they did tear it down, but they also built a new home on that.
This big old house on top of it, right?
Yeah, and I guess that's haunted. You can actually hear Sharon. I don't know where I seen it. Well, it was on YouTube. I don't know what channel or anything, but I was watching it, and you could hear her voice through EVPs and stuff. Oh, what is that? Is that the house?
Yeah, that's
Holy
what
shit!
was built over it now.
Wow, that's a kind of much. That's a lot.
I'm trying to find.
I like the older one. That one. It's more country, and I don't know. It's
Yeah,
peaceful. It seems. Oh,
and this
jeez.
is Roman Polanski. This is where Sharon Tate was. So he's in the living
Is
room.
this the
That's the wall.
photographs that Life was taking? The magazine? Was it Life or the other one?
We had JC bring over here.
Oh my god. I can't believe these are like available. That's insane.
I'm trying to find. Let's see if it'll kind of show. Mm, oh wait. Sorry, I'm getting all these stupid pop-ups. Okay. So we have the front. Oh, these ones kind of suck too. So here, sorry, give me one sec.
Yep, no worries. Oh yeah, Stark Franklin. Yeah, the Full House guy.
Trying to show kind of like an easier blueprint of. Oh, here we go. Floor plan. That might help. If I can make this bigger.
Come here, old man. Come here. Downwards Spiral by Nine Inch Nails was produced in the house. Yeah, I heard there was a. I had read that somewhere, or maybe you told me, Brittany. But yes, that's true as well. Hope you guys didn't mind me using the F word, but I want to be as honest as the book is. I didn't want to not say that word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want to read every single thing. I botched so many words. I know. So, oh, I know I did.
Got the yellow down now, though. So
Yes, I finally got Cielo down. Now I got Void Check. I'll remember that one. Jack, what are you barking at? Hey. Psst. He's got a funny bark. Okay, there must be a dog. Yeah, it's a dog. The neighbor's out walking the dog, but they're staying on my lawn so that my dog barks. I don't know. They're annoying. It's all right, buddy.
no.
Did your dog see the ghost? No, he's barking at our neighbor dog. And it's a female. Her name's Hope, so Jack's probably all excited. You know what I mean? Shush. Is that lawnmower?
Oh, can you hear that? Yeah, that's my neighbors.
What? Okay, speaking of neighbors, so there's one when I'm in my backyard, like the house behind me. She mows her lawn every day. I'm not even kidding. Me and Leland like sit there and laugh, and we'll make bets, and we'll say like, "I bet you $1, I bet you $5. She's gonna mow at 4 o'clock, or she'll be just." I'm telling you, every single day she's mowing her lawn. It's insane. She works for what the hell is it called? The Weed Man.
The what?
The Weed Man. It's a grass like a lawn company. A lawn company. Like a I don't. I think it's called the Weed Man. Yeah, the Weed Man. It's a company here, and they mow your lawns and stuff, and they help with to get your grass to grow and get rid of weeds and all that stuff. So she works there, and so I mean, her of course her lawn looks amazing. It's just funny how she goes it every day. I'm like she's bored. That or a perfectionist.
Oh, below. No, no, no. Sorry, my dogs might start barking here in a couple seconds.
Your dogs are cute too.
Come here. Okay, I found a good photo. Let me. Try. Oh. Clearly, I'm not computer savvy.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'm not either. It took me a long time to figure things out.
Okay, this is the one I want.
Hey, Crispy. There we go. Let's share.
Is that working?
Yep.
Okay.
The Tate set.
The Tate. This is the best one I could find that didn't have very graphic victims' bodies in it.
Oh, okay.
But this side right here is kind of like the down the hill. Up here is above the hill. And are you able to see my mouse?
Yep.
Okay, so right here was the entrance. This is where they cut the telephone pole. This is where that gate with the
with that fingerprint they screwed up.
Mm-hmm. So they had, you can't see, but there's a drive a little bit behind here.
Okay.
And it's when they were coming up here that Steve Parent was leaving, and that's when he was shot.
Yeah.
And so they were coming up further here. This is where they were looking for windows.
Oh, wow.
To sneak in. Tex saw that Linda was upset and sent her back down by the car.
Okay, so that part is true then. Okay.
Yep. And so it was Tex, Kasabian, and Atkins that went in.
Yeah.
And let's see. I believe it was Jay Sebring. I'll have to double check. Was asleep on the couch, or was it Wojciech?
I think it was Wojciech.
I think it was, okay. Wojciech was asleep on the couch. Jay and Sharon were sitting in a back bedroom, and so was Abigail.
Oh, okay.
And Tex woke him up, and he said, "What are you here? What are you doing?" He says, "I'm the devil. I'm here to do the devil's business," and pulled a gun on him. Atkins was sent to go collect the other people and bring them back to the living room. And that's when Tex told them that they were all going to die.
Jesus. How many of them were in the living room again?
You'll have one.
Except for Abigail and...
Well, right now, all four of them are in the living room. You have Sharon, Jay, Wojciech, and Abigail are in the living room. Atkins is starting to stab Wojciech. Tex is going after Jay. Sharon is kind of standing back, for trying to protect her stomach.
Yeah.
And Patricia Krenwinkel is going after Abigail Folger, who then runs out this way trying to escape. So she runs out that door, that photo by the pool.
Okay.
And then she gets caught and killed over here.
Jeez.
Atkins, Wojciech, oh gosh, he was like beaten, stabbed, shot. Atkins had to get Tex's help.
Oh my God.
Over here, and that's where his body was found. And then we have Jay Sebring and Sharon that were both stabbed in the living room. So I wanted to kind of put like a visual to what we were reading. And over here, down in this area is where Garrettson, the caretaker. At the very beginning, when they were checking the house for people and gathering everyone to the living room, they did come down to the door, but they didn't open the door. So I don't know how he made it out alive, but
yeah.
Willow. Shh. Oh, puppy. Yeah, that's the main one I was looking for. It was just some sort of video or visual there.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's good. Nancy says, sorry, my husband had to talk about Russia and ships. Do you guys have any questions? I just I don't know if I was having a nightmare or what, but I seen Sharon getting stabbed in the belly. I think it was a nightmare. Had to have been, because I don't remember seeing that anywhere. It's just weird that I'm remembering it. Well, of course I'm remembering now, probably because we're talking about it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. It's a weird deja vu thing or something. I don't know.
Later,
it was revealed later that Garrison was hiding. Really? But I thought he didn't hear anything.
I mean, I can't say for sure. I mean, I wasn't there, but I do know my mom kind of suspected that as well, that he was scared.
Yeah.
And the phone lines have been cut. And as you can see from that photo, you would have to pass the house in order to get out.
Yeah. I mean, I guess apparently his stereo was turned on. The volume was between 4 and 5. Apparently that was supposed to be loud enough where you wouldn't hear things. And from what I just read, the police were saying they tested it numerous times and he wouldn't have heard anything. But then if he's hiding,
I mean, if there was music in there, I think they might have searched the house a little bit more for other people.
Right?
They were there to kill everybody.
That's what I'm thinking. And he's on the property. He's a little bit of a ways, but he's still there on that property. So I'm agreeing exactly with what Brittany's saying, that he did hear shit and he hid for the fact that, he knew what was going on and he would be next. And Brittany says, plus he had the house owner's dogs with him. They were barking at the door. Yeah, see, I didn't know that either. Oh, you got your power back, Kayla. I read 2 chapters, and then we're just discussing now. Well, if you have any questions or anything. I don't want to stop reading that book, but I'm going to wait. I'm making myself wait. What are you sorry?
Voice, well, thank you for it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, just like reading on my own, I want it so bad, but I'm going to wait. I want to read it with you guys, and because I haven't read it, and I'm barely in this book, and all the stuff I'm finding out is insane.
Yeah, it keeps going insane. And then after even everything, after everything's said and done and the trials are over. Oh my God. Willow, shush. The conspiracies about it.
Yeah.
It just keeps going insane.
That's why I'm glad I have you here to kind of study the facts and let me know what's what, right? Because some of it is just, my biggest thing is I can't get over how dumb the police are. It's how I feel about them. And just the stupidity in this case. Like, a lot of the stuff that was done, I just can't get over that. Yes, the mouse smell left finally. You've had thunderstorms and tornado watch will probably. Oh, wow. I'm sorry. That's scary. I don't like storms at all, especially when they're going to lead to a damn tornado. It's my biggest fear. I don't know why. I've always been terrified of tornadoes. I've never been in one. There was one that touched down by me. I didn't see it or anything. I saw like the clouds and this, like, I don't know. The wind picked up bad. It was crazy. So that was probably the most of it. But I've never seen a tornado in real life, so I don't really know why I'm so scared.
Yeah, I'm not in a tornado area either. I've never seen one. We did
Yeah.
have, I remember one tornado watch once when I was a kid, but all I remember is the cops coming to the park and telling all of us kids we had to go home.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Exactly, Mara. They are getting worse. Like, if we just have, oh, fucking Dom. Oh my God. Yeah, I agree, Mare. The storms here, like, it will be like, okay, there's going to be wind, there's going to be a thunderstorm. It is bad. Like, the wind storms that we've been getting here are to the point it's almost like having tornado because everything is broken or, like, I don't even think my tree has any limbs left, the poor thing. Yeah, Cooper's scared. Yeah. I'm the scaredy cat. Leland, because his father his father likes thunderstorms. So because of that, Leland likes them. But when the winds pick up and starts getting really scary, that's when Leland, he's just like, oh my God. He gets scared just like me. How is my so-called husband and what's he doing? My husband? What's he talking about? Artsy Nurse, do you know what he's talking about, Don?
Not a clue.
Okay, me neither. Because I was going to say, I don't
Be
remember.
anything with that one.
Yeah, I don't recall bringing up a husband or even joking about it. How is your so-called husband and what is he doing?
Do you want to see a picture of Spawn Ranch?
I do, yes.
Okay. It's really hard to tell on my icon right here, but behind my head you can see some like rocks.
Okay.
I'm actually on the location of Spawn Ranch.
Oh, that's where you are. Oh, cool.
That was when my mother was being interviewed.
Thanks for becoming a member, Brittany.
Let me figure out.
Okay, he's going to explain to me about my husband. Oh, okay. I think I know what he means. Piss off. I think I know who he's talking about. Teresa's new fling. I think I could be wrong though.
Ooh, trying to get it.
Nancy's got a question. She said, did any of these people have an epiphany after all this happened? Did realization kick in or did they not care?
Well, my mom had quite an epiphany when she found out she was staying with the killers.
Yeah, I can imagine.
As far as like real epiphany, I don't know. I think almost anybody in jail finds God.
Yeah.
Good on parole. Trying to open this in a new window.
I'm out. Teresa's in. Not for that.
Okay. Let's see. Share screen. All right. It's going to make me share the entire screen, so it's going to look weird for a second.
That's okay.
Mm,
Oh
there we
wow.
go.
So that's the
So
movie ranch?
these are, yeah, this is Spawn's movie ranch. These are
That
the
is so
rocks that's
cool.
behind my icon picture. This burnt down. It's all a field.
Oh wow.
If you watch the remake of Helter Skelter, that
Mm-hmm.
shows them at a lake, there wasn't a lake, but behind this building here, it's a little bit of kind of like a creek slash river. And
Okay.
that's where they have, it's down in this area, maybe a little bit further this way, where they have that rock that they're all sitting in.
Yeah.
That photo, I might, let's see. But on the night of the murders, this is where they left from. My mom was way down here in this area,
Okay.
and she was told to bring up um,
Yep.
parts
Clothes,
of black,
right?
yeah, black clothing up to the front. And this is where he told her they had already left. And so she
Yeah.
went back.
Brittany says Manson Cave.
Yes, that, let me see. Just sharing all this right here.
Oh wow, I didn't
Yeah,
even think that. Is that
that's not Manson family in that photo. Sorry. Oh, tiny. But yeah, it's a little cave rock. It's actually a lot smaller than what it seems in these
okay?
photos, and it's
I didn't even know there
got,
was one.
yeah, it's got a lot more silt in it. When I was down there, I was half tempted to go and sit in it, but there's a crazy amount of spiders in that
Yeah,
area.
that in small spaces.
No, I'm not a. Nope.
Your alarms are going off. Oh no! Please be careful. Oh, I worry for you. Yeah, don't worry about it. You catch the replay whenever you can. Please be safe. Oh, that's so scary to have alarms going off. Oh my god. You have any more photos you want to share or that you can share?
Um, it's small. That's what I was taking the most time with, was trying to get this one bigger,
Ah,
but I'll see if I can't. Here, hold on. No. Are you able to see that? Or is it
let's see.
super tiny?
It is small, but I see someone standing and then it looks like people sitting or.
So this is when the ranch was raided. So these are
Ah,
groups. And yeah, I'm going to find this photo or make this one bigger and show it
yeah.
later, because this little
Okay.
brown blob right here that you can't see, that's the back of my mother's head. I have
Oh
just to
crap,
kind
she was there for the raid too? Holy
of, oh yeah.
shit.
Yeah, they got raided a few times. Um but yeah, just to kind of show like how small of a world this is. I'm a
Yeah.
nurse. I've had patients that have been connected to this case
Really?
and have mentioned it. And this happened once where he mentioned, when he was younger, he did this or whatever. And one of the nurses, another nurse who knew my mom's family or
Yeah.
knew the whole story, was like, "Oh, you should talk to this nurse." And so he waited for me.
Oh
He
wow.
sat up and I showed him this photo, and I was pointing, I was like, "Yeah, that's the back of my mom's head." And then he would point to, like, "These are my coworkers," and would like start saying names. And
Oh my god.
yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool though. Like at work, you know, your patients and stuff, they've got some stories I bet to tell you.
Oh, it's really weird going into a patient's room and seeing your mother on the TV. That's weird.
Yeah. It would be. It would be probably be weird, but kind of cool too. Like, yep, that's my mom.
I'll be back later. I'll come back.
I still laugh because I know the bug shot. I've seen it, and it makes me laugh. Oh my god, she's so cute. Huge spiders are nope. Little spiders are okay. Spiders are just a hell no for me. Any kind. You know what's weird though? I've got a spider in my bathroom, and it's been there for a couple weeks. I don't know. I haven't killed it. Nothing. It's just sitting there. I don't know why I haven't.
Did you name it at this point?
Not yet, but I might as well.
Practically a pet.
Yeah, might as well name him. I should name him Harry. I don't know. It's funny too. I think it's more because he keeps disappearing. Like he's in the one spot by my mirror, and not in the corner, but a little bit away from it. And that's where this thing will be. But then all of a sudden he'll disappear. And I think that's another reason why I haven't killed it, because it keeps disappearing. So when I see it, I go to get a shoe, or I forget about it and don't get my shoe until later. And then like I saw earlier, I was gonna kill it, and then I don't know what happened. I got distracted as usual.
It's waiting so it can jump at you.
My luck. It's pregnant. I won't doubt it. I hate spiders, and I feel bad, but I will kill them. I just don't want them in my house. And I've had a lot lately. Every time I turn around, I'm catching one every day, and it's weird because it's not winter. It's beautiful outside. Now, in the winter, you would think they would be coming in for the warmth, right? No, I get them more in the summer than anything.
I hate the ones that have the little babies on their back, and you go to kill it, and the things scatter.
One time I was sitting on the porch, and this was at my old house, and there was all these little tiny green specks. And I'm like, what the hell is that? So I thought maybe it was some sort of, I don't know, flower that, I don't know, pollen or something, right? So that's what I thought it was, stuck in a web. So I blew on it. Oh my God, thousands of those little bastards started crawling. I'm like, what the hell is that? I've never seen anything like that in my life. They were all fluorescent green. I've never seen anything like it since, but I was like, oh, hell no. So I went in the house, and then I got my hairspray and sprayed the shit out of it. And then because it was at my back door on my porch, some of them did get in the house, in the kitchen. I'm like, oh my God. I've never seen anything like it. It was gross. Hairy as Harriet. Harry.
Nope.
I hope it's not a Harriet. I should really get my kid to do it. I hate killing spiders. He usually does, but it's up really high. I don't even know if I can reach it.
What's it? Sorry, one sec.
Yep. I like that disclaimer, Mare. It's perfect. Any living victims and or relatives are not responsible for the actions of Charles Manson or people who committed these crimes. It is not your fault. I really like that. Mare's got the best disclaimers, and just, she's awesome. No offense to you. She's probably one of the best moms I ever had. No offense to
no problem.
Like, I mean, for her disclaimers and just all her sayings and everything. Yeah, she's the best I've seen anywhere.
No, I know I'm kind of a lazy mod. I walk in, I say hi.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing to do.
Got it. I can relax.
Yeah, well, there's nothing to do on my channel, right? Like, I never have anything that needs to be removed or anybody really to be on timeout.
It's freaking Dom's channel that I gotta watch the chat like crazy.
Yeah, I haven't been on his much. I usually been catching the replays. Sometimes I'll catch his lives, but not all the time. I've just been not home. Just, I don't know. As soon as the nice weather hit, I was gone. I cannot sit in the house. Like I said, I was here all winter, and it's so depressing. Now that it's like gorgeous out, I'm out every day. At least is the Walmart greeter type. So am I. I say hi to every single person that comes in anybody's chat. Hi, hi, hi. It's like, oh. Most of us would be in shock if we stab someone, even in self-defense. But to intentionally do it, yeah. I don't know. I couldn't imagine, like, even just trying to picture that, just exactly for self-defense. I'd have to go through therapy for that.
Well, they complained, that was Patricia Krenwinkel when they were leaving the Tay house. She was complaining that her hand hurt because she kept hitting bone.
Yes, I did hear that. I don't know if it was from you or if it was from a movie or if I read it, but yeah, I did. I remember that. That's disgusting. Wow. That's gross. I can't wait to read the rest of this book.
About how far are you into it now?
Let me see. I'm only on page 108.
Out of
Out of, well, that's not too bad. Out of 667.
Ooh.
Too bad, but yeah, like I'm just starting. 683. Wait. Yeah, 670. That's so many.
Yeah, I'm gonna have like less to share when it comes to the investigative part because my end is from the not involved with that particular area, so I'll have less details there. But
And that's fine. I mean, absolutely. I think your part, what you know, and the knowledge that you have, that's the what I want to hear about. Like, I just think it's so cool that your mom was there, but she wasn't the bad one, you know?
no, yeah, she didn't know until after the
Exactly.
fact.
I don't know. I always thought your mom was Linda for some reason when we were talking, and I'm like, oh my god, I wonder if that's her mom. I was like, shit, I hope not, because I don't like this girl. Not you, but Linda. I was like, oh, I don't really like her. I don't know, but and that's how it is in every like movie or show or crime video or anything. It's all that Linda wasn't part of it, and she was just the lookout, and she got away with a lot of it, I guess. Um, so there's like a 50-50. Like some people are hate the woman because they think that she was involved more. Well, she was involved, and she just saved her ass. And then the other half is like, well, no, she was scared. Put yourself in her position, and I don't really know what to think. I don't know.
Yeah, I see both sides.
Yeah.
When this was going on, she did have a kid back
Yeah.
at the ranch to protect, but then she
She left
later
the kid.
left the kid. Yeah,
That's why I started not liking her. As soon as she said that she left her damn kid there, I thought, oh, hell no. No, I would never, never.
but from um, the few, I haven't met all of the victims, families,
Yeah.
not even close, but from the ones that I have met, there is some resentment. I don't want to say like complete like anger, but they're not fond of her either because she was down by that car. She had the opportunity to go for help, and she did.
Yeah.
So I understand that too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That part. She was just a driver in the one, or no, she was with both scenes, wasn't she? Or just the one?
Well, she was in the car for the second one.
Yeah.
She wasn't one of the ones picked to go into the La Bianca house.
No, not go in, but I know that she was like the getaway driver for one, and she could have went and got help, and then the other one, she was in the car again and stayed behind.
The second. Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think if she
Losing
was.
that train of thought there for a second.
She's at the. So Linda was at. Kasabian was at the first crime scene, the Tate one, right? She was the getaway driver because Tex sent her back, or was that La Bianca?
That was the Sharon Tate where he sent her back like towards the car to be kind of a watch out. She drove and so did Tex.
Yeah.
But she did come back up towards the house and
Yeah.
trying to convince them to leave, and did see Wachowski like running out with blood, and she begged them to stop, and Adkins was saying it's too late to stop. The second night she was in the car and she helped get rid of the La Bianca wallet,
The wallet. Yeah.
but she didn't go up onto that property at all.
But that's like that would be. See, if I was part of the victim's family, and my family was involved, I'd hate her just for that reason. And then like finding out that she left her own child there, yeah, I'd have a hate on her. Just knowing that she was there, and if she was trying to do something good, she could have run for help, knowing the plan and what they were going to do. And
She had that moment where she could have.
Yeah. Well, twice, really, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't like that. And then she got off scot-free because she testified against them.
Yeah, the Helter Skelter motive was so crazy. They really needed somebody to, I don't know, if any, at first they were going to offer Atkins immunity before they
Wow.
realized the involvement.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather it be Linda than her than
Yeah,
Atkins.
I agree to that.
If
I
any
don't
of
believe.
them, if somebody had to get immunity, I'm glad it was Linda versus
Yeah, I
anybody
mean,
else.
I agree with that too, but I honestly believe that none of them should have got any immunity. I think that I don't know. Did they not have enough evidence to convict without having Linda?
They needed her for tying Manson more to the crimes. They had plenty of evidence to convict the killers, but they, if they didn't convict Manson, they considered it, half of a success because he was still there with the followers to do more killings. They needed Manson behind bars as well.
Yeah, okay. I do get that. Hmm. Such a shitty ending and very sad what happened.
Hmm.
Does anybody have any questions at all before I wrap this up? I need to give my voice a rest.
Tea time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Some honey lemon tea, right? That's the one that works. She had to tie up the loose ends as far as the conspiracy to commit, probably. Yeah, I mean, another reason why I'm questioning it and stuff is because I don't know if you know about Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka. You ever heard of that case?
Mm-mm. No.
The Ken and Barbie murders? No. There's some sick fucks. And she got away with it, basically. Um, they tried to use her to testify and they didn't even need her. There was so much evidence on tapes. They actually recorded their crimes, what they did to these young women. It was disgusting. It's Canadian murder. I was thinking about doing that one as well on my channel. She's now living in Montreal and she works, what was it, in a school as a kindergarten teacher and has her own goddamn kids. Yeah, like, must be nice. After what she did, she killed her own sister. She allowed her sister to be raped by her husband. I like that you can interact on here and not feel like you're going to be blocked. Yeah, absolutely. Even if somebody had said something to me that I disagree with or was rude to me, I just say, okay, can you please stop? Like, I get what you're saying. Or I'll even be nice about it. I'm not going to automatically be like, that's it, you blocked that son of a bitch. Like, no.
Yeah, you're nicer than me. Must be the
Yeah.
Canadian society.
Yeah, I'm Canadian. That's why. Lisa says I heard about that case and she was involved. She was involved, absolutely. She worked at a veterinary clinic and she actually got medicine from there to put on a rag to knock her sister out. You want to know why? Because she was going to give her sister over to her husband Paul so he could take her virginity because Carla wasn't a virgin. So she offered up her goddamn sister who was what, 15 at the time, I believe. Yeah, and because she held that rag on her face, it burnt her face and it killed her. Carla killed her own sister.
Ooh.
She went down on her sister while she was knocked out, and the sister was on her period. It was disgusting. Do you remember that case, Mare?
That's starting to sound a little familiar with the sister thing.
Oh my
That the
god.
boyfriend wanted the sister. Okay.
And then her husband Paul had a breakdown when the younger sister died. It was so stupid. They would pick up young girls, and he would torture and rape them, and she would videotape and she would watch. She would interact. She would be on the goddamn bed, the wife, Carla. It's disgusting. I don't understand how she got such a light sentence. I got so many books on the Paul Bernardo case. He's locked in the Kingston Penitentiary here in Ontario. He's never getting out. But his bitch wife is, and I don't understand that, how she's still in Montreal working around children. And having children of her own. I don't get that. I feel safe on this channel and we laugh, and yeah, exactly. I've always wanted a channel to be something like this where we can all laugh and communicate and not have to worry about, stupid crap.
That's good. Even with this dark a subject.
Yes, that's why I'm trying to make it a little, I don't know, leave on a good note, I guess you could say. Yeah, she did play the victim. They were close to my sister's town. Well, they were living in Toronto, right? Just north of Toronto. St. Catharines. That's where they were living when they committed all these crimes. They also, they killed a 13-year-old and they got away with that one. It's just disgusting. Kristen French. Jesus, that was the worst one. She played the victim and the cops fell for it. But that's the thing, though. They didn't need Carla as a witness or anything. They had videotapes of her committing these fucking crimes. It was they did not need her statements or anything. I do not understand that. It really upset me. I read so many books. The prosecutor's book. I read this other author that made another book, and it was just like, wow. One victim was from Woodstock. All right, I'm going to go. If any of you have a question, you're more than welcome to ask Miss Artsy Nurse. If not, I'm going to get off of here, rest my yap.
Or if you think of a question later,
yeah,
in the comment.
Yes, exactly. Do that, please. Yeah, because you'll always check. I'm hoping. Well, yeah, you will. And if you guys think of anything, yeah, absolutely. Feel free to ask in the comment section. She'll answer. Don't ask me, though. I probably won't know. Have thoughts, sure, but I don't think I'll really answer. What's today? Thursday? Oh, and then, okay, so I have no more lives or anything this week. I'm going to make a video tomorrow as well. Tomorrow's Friday. And then Saturday, I don't know if I can. I'm busy. I have to go help my family move from Toronto down to, here. My aunt and uncle, my cousins are all coming down. So I may or may not be drinking. But hey, it's
finally give up trying to do an Urban Dictionary.
Ugh,
those are just cursed.
No, they are every time, every single time.
Every time.
Every time. If it's not me getting sick, or if Dom can't do it because of something, or oh my God, it's always something. And yeah, I do believe it's cursed. I'm done with it. Unless one night I'm talking to Dom and I'm just like, hey, what are you doing? If he says nothing, like that's what I was thinking. Just ask him out of the blue and just do it. That's the only way I think we'll get away with it. Because if it's not him not feeling well, or because he can't because of something else, it's me. All right, I will see you. Well, I'll make it a video tomorrow, so I'll do that.
All right, I'm gonna drop down. Bye,
guys. Alrighty, have a good night. Thank you. She's awesome. I love her stories and photos. All right, you guys have a great night. I'm gonna end it here and go relax. I think. Go watch the rest of American Horror Story. I'm on season 8. All right, you guys have a great night, and I will see you next Wednesday.